Hi, this is Eric Rogers with Century 21 Affiliated, here talking to you today about making sure your home smells its best when you're getting ready to put it on the market. Now, this is a very important thing. When buyers step into your home, the scent is really one of the first things that they notice. Even before they see anything, they really smell what that house smells like, and if it's a negative, it's very hard to recover. This is part one of a two-part video series that I have that really covers the smell and the aromas inside a home. And this covers how to eliminate negative odors. This is a very important first step because we can't add good aromas to the house until we eliminate the negatives. Part two is about adding a good aroma once the negatives have been eliminated. But in this video, we're going to cover all of the major negative aromas that I encounter in homes, how to remediate those, and some of the extra steps that you can consider when you're getting your house ready for the market. Now, I wanted to mention that this can be a very sensitive subject. When I'm working with a seller and there's an odor problem in the home, it's a subject that I really approach with a certain amount of care. A lot of sellers do not like to hear that there's an odor problem with their home, but we do tend to go a little bit nose deaf when we're living in a property. So you do become a little bit immune to the way that your home smells. It sometimes helps to have a neutral third party come in and really give you a good idea of how visitors smell your home as well. So let's talk about the main categories of odors that I encounter when I'm out showing homes or when I'm working with sellers. I generally group these odors into four main categories. The first would be odors associated with us, with living in a house. And this could be something like sweat or an odor based upon a habit that we have, like cigarette smoke. The second category are odors associated with food. And this covers your cooking smells as well as odors associated with food storage. Number three are our pet odors. And number four are odors associated with the house, such as a mildew smell or a moldy smell or even a stale smell. Now, these aren't all of the odors that you can encounter, but these are main categories. And if you do find another aroma, you can certainly fit it into these categories and figure out how to solve it. Before we get started talking about the different odors, I wanted to make one suggestion. When you're getting ready to sell your home, moving air inside the property always helps. It can dissipate negative odors quicker. It can also diffuse positive odors throughout the home. So what I wanted to suggest is this. Go to your thermostat. There's a setting on that called fan. Now, most people keep their fan setting on auto, which means the fan only blows when the furnace is putting out cold or hot air. I want you to change that from auto to on. When the fan is on, it will blow all the time, and that will circulate the air in your home. Yes, it will increase your electric bill a little bit, but is the extra $20 or $30 worth selling your home faster and for a higher dollar amount? I'd say yes. So let's talk about the first category of odors that I encounter, and those are odors associated with people. I'm going to start by talking about some of the categories of those odors and how I recommend taking care of those. First of all, some homes do have a very strong bathroom odor. This is particularly evident if you have young kids or you don't clean the bathroom as often as it should be done. This can be a very off-putting odor to your buyers, so just do make sure that you keep the bathrooms clean. I usually like to use a little bit of a stronger cleanser when I'm doing that. Clorox cleanup is one of those things. It will leave a little bit of a bleach aroma in the house, but it offers a very clean smell when you're done cleaning, and that gives a very positive impression to your buyers. One of the other aromas we encounter a lot is the smell of sweat or body odor. This is very typical if you've got some teens in the house that frankly don't like to wash clothing or bed sheets as often. It's very important to take care of these things. Make sure that they're putting those in a hamper. Make sure that those are washed regularly. If there's an area that tends to concentrate those odors, like a couch or a sofa or a futon or a bed, you can use a product like Febreze. Febreze is an odor neutralizer. Make sure before you use this on anything that you try it on a small section so that you know it doesn't stain. Now, The next subcategory of human-generated odors is cigarette smoke and various odors associated with that, pipe smoke, tobacco smoke, anything like that. This is a very powerful odor and it's very difficult to get rid of. Really, tobacco smoke is a subject for its own video, but I'm going to give you some tips that help minimize this. First of all, smoke does tend to collect in certain things like carpet. So in a lot of cases, carpet really should be removed if you want to eliminate smoke odors in the home. Also, because of the way smoke dissipates, oftentimes the smell is concentrated on hard surfaces like walls, floors, cabinets, things like that. In that case, what I like to use is a product like this. This is trisodium phosphate. This is a very powerful cleanser, so make sure you're using protection for your eyes as well as gloves when you use this product. You can wipe down your hard surfaces with this. Make sure you test it on a small section, though, before you start going to work on this with cabinets or anything of that nature. This is a very powerful oxidizer, so you need to be a little bit careful. Don't get it in your glass, don't get it in your metal. But it does a good job of stripping away negative odors on hard surfaces. Oftentimes when you're done with this, you do need to then go ahead and paint. It will fade paint. It makes a paint less glossy. So a lot of times when you're done with this and it dries, you will need to repaint the home. And I usually tell sellers to start with a stain and odor blocking paint like Kills that encapsulates the smell and helps block that out so it doesn't come through. Next, I wanted to talk about food-based aromas. Now, when you're selling your house, I usually recommend to sellers that you avoid cooking anything very strongly scented. Things like curries or African food or even fish can kind of create a very off-putting aroma with buyers. So what I recommend is if you do crave those things and you're selling your house, to go have a nice meal out. That way your house stays smelling its best. Sometimes those food aromas can actually linger for days, so you really don't want your buyers even a couple days from now to be smelling what you cooked earlier in the week. Now, sometimes those scents do linger on your hard kitchen surfaces like your cabinets and your countertops. And if that's the case, what I recommend is a citrus cleaner or a degreaser. These tend to be very gentle on your woodwork. Always test before you use these cleansers to make sure that they're not damaging your cabinets though. But this does a very good job of neutralizing the odors and leaves things smelling very nice and fresh. Now, I also wanted to mention that food storage can also have an aroma. Certain foods, when they're stored, can give off an aroma like potatoes or onions or certain spices. So make sure those are sealed up very carefully and not emitting aromas. And lastly, I wanted to mention garbage is one of the most negative aromas you can have in your house. So just make sure that you're emptying that trash bin regularly. Make sure that there's nothing lingering in the house creating negative aromas. The next odor category I wanted to get into are odors associated with our pets. And this is a big one. A lot of homes that I walk into with buyers have a very strong pet aroma associated with them. And again, this is very off-putting. Some buyers love animals, some buyers hate animals. So we're best just neutralizing those aromas so they don't become a problem. One of the biggest offenders here are our dogs, but also cats have a very powerful aroma, particularly the urine. If you've ever gone into a house that has a very powerful cat urine smell to it, it's something that you really can't forget. And that smell lingers like nothing else. In fact, a lot of times when there's a home that has a very heavy cat urine smell, it really requires the attention of a professional mediator because it's very difficult to remove a cat urine aroma. So, for moderate smells, what I do recommend is they do tend to concentrate where the animals spend a good portion of their time. So the carpets, or if you do let your animals sit on the couches or the beds, those tend to concentrate those pet aromas. And for those areas, I recommend a product again like Febreze, an odor neutralizer. This can be sprayed over the areas that they generally occupy and help neutralize those scents. Again, test this on a small area before you use it. Now, if there's a very heavy pet smell in the house, you can use a powdered carpet cleaner. This actually is a powder that you sprinkle around the carpets, let it sit for 15 minutes, and then you vacuum it out. There is some disadvantages with this type of a cleaner. First of all, it's a very powerful aroma. And it's often a very floral aroma, which we want to stay away from. When we talk about the positive aromas, floral is really something that we want to stay away from. But if it's a difference between a pet aroma and an overly floral aroma, I'll take the flowers any day of the week. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is it tends to be very messy. It can also irritate allergies, and it can also clog up your vacuum cleaner. This is not something that you want to use with your $400 Dyson vacuum. You want something cheap because it will draw in all that powder after it's out on the carpets, and you don't want that clogging up your vacuum. Now, lastly, when we're talking about pets, I wanted to mention the pet waste in the yard can also be a problem. Not just because it makes the yard look messy, it doesn't necessarily create a bad odor, but when buyers are out touring the yard, there's nothing like coming home from a showing and seeing that your buyers have tracked some dog waste through your house. That's just a very special feeling that unfortunately some sellers have to learn firsthand. So my recommendation is just make sure the yard is picked up, there are no piles out there. That way everything is nice and clean and nothing is brought into the home. The last type of odors I wanted to talk about are those associated with your home. Some of the most strong odors that we can think about in this category are the mold or mildewy smells, stale smells, humid smells. Those can really create a very negative appearance for the buyers because then they associate those with something wrong with the property. With these type of aromas, usually they're caused by something. If it's a water infiltration problem causing a moldy or musty smell, step one is really to take care of that moisture problem first. You really can't eliminate the odors before you eliminate the problem. So if that's something that you feel is present in your house, we should call the experts and make sure that that's taken care of first. Once the problem is taken care of, you can use a product like trisodium phosphate or borax. Borax is a very powerful cleaner. You can find this in the laundry section. A lot of people would use this to boost their laundry cleaning power, but borax is great for knocking out mold and mildew aromas. You follow the instructions here, make sure you use adequate eye protection as well as gloves because this is very caustic. But you can wipe down an area with this and really eliminate a lot of the moldy or mildewy smells. Also, I wanted to mention that if your home is sitting vacant for a longer period of time, the air can get stale. If a house is empty and there's nobody moving through it, the air can get a very stale quality. So when I mentioned turning that blower fan on your furnace to on from auto, this will also help circulate the air and eliminate those aromas. Now, all of the aromas that we've talked about today really need to be eliminated before you think about listing your home for sale. We also need to take care of these before we start adding positive aromas to your home. You can't add a good over bad. The bad has to be eliminated first. If you are getting ready to get your home on the market and would like an independent third party to give your house a good smell audit, I'd be happy to do this. Just give me a call at 630-346-1041. I can schedule a time to meet with you at the house and just give you an idea of what needs to be done to make sure that it's smelling its best. Next up in my video is about adding a good positive aroma to the home. If you have any questions, post them in the comments, and thank you for watching.